Every question you ask yourself shapes your path in life. Some questions hold you back, feeding doubt and fear. But the right questions, they have the power to unlock clarity, resilience, and purpose. Imagine a life where every challenge is an opportunity for growth, every setback is a lesson, and every decision aligns with who you truly want to be. That's the life these questions can help you build. These aren't ordinary questions. They're timeless, forged by the wisdom of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. They aren't here to give you easy answers, but to challenge your assumptions, focus your energy, and remind you of what truly matters. They invite you to take control of what you can, let go of what you can't, and live with integrity, courage, and gratitude. In this video, we'll explore 13 transformative questions that have helped countless people, ancient and modern, overcome distractions, face fears, and live deeply meaningful lives. By asking these questions, you'll gain not just answers, but the tools to rewrite your story. Are you ready to challenge your perspective and change your life? Let's begin. 1. Who are you spending time with? Imagine this. You're at a dinner party, surrounded by people you barely know. The conversation drifts into shallow gossip, complaints about work, and negativity that leaves you feeling drained. You smile politely but wonder, what am I doing here? Now contrast that with spending an evening with someone who inspires you, someone who challenges your thinking, or simply makes you feel more alive. Which version of you do you want to cultivate? The philosopher Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." This advice is as relevant today as it was 2 millennia ago. The people we spend time with don't just influence us, they shape us. Their habits, attitudes, and energy subtly become our own. You've probably heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." But have you truly paused to reflect on whether your inner circle reflects the person you want to become? Let me share a surprising story. In a small coastal town, a young artist named Clara spent years feeling stuck. She painted every day, yet her work felt uninspired. One day, she attended a workshop led by a renowned painter who saw potential in her. This mentor encouraged Clara to join a group of like-minded artists. Reluctantly, she agreed. Over the next year, Clara found herself in conversations that sparked creativity, critiques that sharpened her skills, and friendships that uplifted her spirit. Her art flourished. Clara realized the stagnation wasn't in her talent, but in the environment she had allowed herself to stay in. This question, who are you spending time with, isn't about cutting people off arbitrarily. It's about recalibrating your energy. Are the people in your life averaging you toward growth, or are they pulling you away from it? Take a moment to ask yourself, do I feel uplifted or drained after spending time with them? Are they encouraging me to be my best self or holding me back? The Stoics believed that spending time with virtuous individuals sharpens our own virtues. Epictetus advised, above all, keep a close watch on this, that you are never so tied to your former acquaintances and friends that you are pulled down to their level. This doesn't mean abandoning loved ones, but choosing influence wisely. Here's a simple practice. Write down the names of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Next to each name, jot down how they impact you, positively or negatively. Then, identify one action to either strengthen those positive relationships or distance yourself from negative influences. Finally, ask yourself, who do I want to become? And are the people around me helping me get there? Growth doesn't happen in isolation, but neither does it thrive in toxic environments. Take charge of your circle, because your future self depends on it. 2. Is this in my control? Picture this. It's a rainy Monday morning and you're stuck in traffic, already late for an important meeting. Frustration builds as raindrops blur your windshield and you find yourself muttering, "Why does this always happen to me?" But pause for a moment. Could you control the weather? Could you control the traffic? The answer is no. What you could control was how you left the house, how prepared you were, and, most importantly, how you chose to react in this moment. This idea, central to Stoicism, is beautifully articulated by Epictetus. We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. The Stoics believed life's ultimate freedom lies in recognizing what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and reactions, and letting go of what is not, like external events or other people's opinions. Yet, how often do we waste energy fighting battles we were never meant to win? Let me share an unexpected story. Sophia, a high school teacher, used to feel constantly overwhelmed. She stressed about her students' grades, their lack of discipline, even their personal challenges at home. She carried this weight home every day until one afternoon when a student handed her a note. It read, "Thank you for believing in me. You make me want to try harder." It struck her. Her job wasn't to control every outcome, but to do her best in each moment. Her influence lay in teaching, inspiring, and supporting, not in guaranteeing perfect results. This realization transformed her approach. She focused on what she could give, not what she couldn't control, and she found peace in the process. Now, reflect on your own life. How often do you spiral into stress over things beyond your reach? Have you ever agonized over someone else's behavior or dwelled on a missed opportunity? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The moment you shift your focus to what you can control, you reclaim your energy and mental clarity. Here's a practical exercise. Take out a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. In the first, write down the things causing you stress, whether it's work, relationships, or external circumstances. In the second, identify which of these you can control. Next, commit to focusing only on actions within your sphere of influence. For example, instead of worrying about how others perceive you, focus on showing up authentically and treating people with kindness. Ask yourself, what would happen if I let go of everything outside my control? Imagine the weight lifted, the energy freed, and the clarity gained. The world may not always cooperate with your plans, but when you master this principle, you'll discover that the real victory lies in mastering yourself. Take this step today, because your peace of mind is worth it. 3. To be or to do. Imagine standing at a crossroads in your career. On one path lies a high-ranking position that commands respect and admiration, but the responsibilities feel hollow, disconnected from your true values. On the other path is the quieter choice, meaningful work that impacts lives, but lacks the glitter of titles and recognition. Which path would you choose? The Stoics would ask, are you trying to be someone important, or are you striving to do something important? Epictetus once said, "It is not what we say that defines us, but what we do repeatedly." This is the essence of the question, to be or to do. It challenges us to evaluate whether we are pursuing superficial validation or focusing on creating real impact. In a world obsessed with appearances, this distinction is more critical than ever. Consider a surprising story. Nathan, a software engineer, dreamed of becoming a VP at his company. He worked tirelessly, chasing promotions and accolades, but when he finally reached the title he had long desired, he felt empty. The meetings, the bureaucracy, the constant need to prove himself drained his passion. He realized he had been chasing recognition, not purpose. Nathan eventually stepped down, choosing instead to lead a team where he could mentor young developers and innovate freely. His joy returned, not because of his position, but because of the meaningful work he was doing. This question isn't just about careers, it applies to every area of life. Are you seeking attention on social media, or are you sharing content that genuinely helps others? Are you chasing compliments in your relationships, or are you building bonds based on trust and authenticity? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, be content to seem what you really are. The Stoics urge us to prioritize action over appearance, substance over style. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Write down one thing you've been pursuing lately, whether it's a promotion, an achievement, or even a personal goal. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my values, or because it looks good to others? If the latter, consider shifting your focus to the impact you want to create. Take a moment to reflect. What legacy do you want to leave behind? When people think of you, will they remember your title or the way you made them feel? Will they talk about your accomplishments or the difference you made in their lives? Make the choice to prioritize doing over being. Start today by taking one action, no matter how small, that aligns with your values and contributes meaningfully to the world. Because in the end, it's not about how you're seen, it's about the lives you touch. 4. What is the most important thing to you? Picture this. You're juggling deadlines at work, managing family obligations, and trying to keep up with social commitments. One day, you glance at the clock. Hours have slipped by, and you're too exhausted to reflect on how your time was spent. Amidst the whirlwind of responsibilities, a simple yet profound question emerges. What is the most important thing to you? Seneca wrote, "Euthymia means knowing the path you are on and not being distracted by the paths of others." This Stoic concept of clarity and focus is a compass for modern life. If you don't know what truly matters, you risk spending your energy on what doesn't. Yet, how often do we pause to define our priorities or to ensure our actions align with them? Let me share an unexpected story. Emma, a successful entrepreneur, built a thriving business from scratch. She was admired by peers, featured in magazines, and envied for her achievements. But behind closed doors, she was consumed by guilt. Her children barely saw her. Her health was deteriorating, and her days felt hollow. It wasn't until she faced a health scare that she re-evaluated her life. Emma realized she had been chasing external validation at the expense of her most important values: family, well-being, and meaningful connections. She made changes, delegated responsibilities, prioritized family dinners, and set boundaries at work. The result? A sense of fulfillment that no award could bring. Now turn the question to yourself. What truly matters to you? Is it financial success, or is it spending time with loved ones? Is it climbing the corporate ladder, or is it contributing to a cause you're passionate about? Your answer doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just needs to be honest. Here's a practical exercise. Take 15 minutes to write down your top 3 priorities in life. Then, list the activities that currently consume most of your time. Do they align? If not, identify one small adjustment you can make today to bring your actions closer to your values. For example, if family is your priority, set aside uninterrupted time for them this week. If health is important, commit to one healthy meal or a short walk every day. Imagine a life where your actions are guided by what truly matters to you. How much unnecessary stress could you eliminate? How much deeper would your connections be? The Stoics remind us that clarity about our values is the foundation for a life of purpose. So, What is the most important thing to you? Take a moment to answer, not with words, but with actions, because in the end, it's not what you say you value, it's how you live it. 5. Does this actually matter? Imagine this. You're furious because a co-worker interrupted you during a meeting. The frustration lingers as you replay the moment in your head, fueling your anger. But then, a thought crosses your mind. Does this actually matter? Will this moment hold any significance tomorrow, next week, or a year from now? Likely not. This question is about perspective. While what is the most important thing to you focuses on your overarching priorities in life, does this actually matter zooms in on the present moment. It challenges you to discern between what's truly significant and what's merely noise. Marcus Aurelius advised, ask yourself at every moment, is this essential? Most of what we stress about, the Stoics remind us, is trivial in the grand scheme of things. Consider the story of Tom, a marketing executive who used to agonize over every email, every missed call, and every small misstep at work. His life felt like an endless loop of stress until one day a family health emergency forced him to step back. Suddenly, he saw the bigger picture. Those urgent emails didn't matter, but being there for his loved ones did. This shift in focus transformed his approach. He began asking himself daily, does this actually matter? It helped him prioritize, reduce unnecessary stress, and focus on what truly needed his attention. Now, think about your own life. How often do you invest time and energy into things that don't truly matter? Perhaps it's arguing over trivial issues, obsessing over social media, or worrying about others' opinions. The Stoics believed that peace comes from letting go of distractions. Epictetus reminds us, it's not things themselves that trouble us, but our opinions about them. What if you could reframe your perspective and save your energy for what's truly meaningful? Here's an exercise to help you practice. When faced with a stressful situation, pause and ask yourself, does this actually matter in the long run? If the answer is no, take a deep breath and let it go. If it does matter, focus on what's within your control and act accordingly. For example, instead of arguing about who left the lights on, focus on finding practical ways to reduce your energy bill together. Reflect for a moment. How much lighter would your life feel if you stopped carrying the weight of what doesn't matter? Imagine the clarity and freedom you could gain by simply letting go of the inessential. Every day presents countless distractions. The key is to filter out what's irrelevant and focus on what moves you closer to a purposeful life. So ask yourself, right now, in this moment, does this actually matter? The answer might just surprise you. 6. How would a sage respond to this situation? Picture this. You're at work and a colleague criticizes your idea in a meeting, publicly and harshly. You feel the heat rise in your chest as the urge to defend yourself takes over. But then, a question flashes in your mind. How would a sage respond to this situation? Would they lash out, or would they pause, reflect, and respond with wisdom? The Stoics revered the figure of the sage, a person of unshakable virtue, guided by reason and calm, even in the face of adversity. Marcus Aurelius encapsulated this mindset perfectly when he wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." A sage doesn't act impulsively. Instead, they filter their actions through the lens of integrity, wisdom, and virtue. Consider the story of Aaron, a young entrepreneur whose startup faced a public relations crisis when a client posted a scathing review online. Aaron's initial reaction was panic, followed by anger. He wanted to fire back with a defensive response, but he stopped himself. He asked, "What would a sage do?" Instead of retaliating, Aaron acknowledged the feedback, thanked the client for their honesty, and publicly outlined the steps his company would take to improve. The result? Not only did he diffuse the situation, but he also gained respect for his composure and leadership. Now, take a moment to reflect. When faced with conflict or criticism, how do you typically react? Do you allow emotions to drive your decisions, or do you take a step back and act from a place of wisdom? Imagine the clarity you could gain by asking yourself how a sage, someone who embodies patience, humility, and insight, might handle the situation. Here's a practical exercise to integrate this principle into your life. The next time you face a challenging situation, pause before reacting. Close your eyes and visualize a figure you admire, someone who embodies wisdom and grace. Ask yourself, how would they approach this? Write down 3 alternative responses they might choose. Then pick the one that aligns most with your values. By asking this question, you train your mind to default to reason instead of emotion. Think about how this shift could transform your relationships, your work, and even your inner peace. It's not about being perfect, but striving for progress, one thoughtful decision at a time. So, what's your next step? The next time you're tested by criticism, frustration, or adversity, pause and ask, how would a sage respond? Then act accordingly. Over time, you won't just be asking this question, you'll start living its answer. 7. What is my role in this situation? Imagine you're at a family dinner and a heated argument breaks out between 2 relatives. The atmosphere becomes tense, and everyone looks to you for a reaction. You feel the pull of multiple instincts. Should you mediate, pick a side, or stay silent? At that moment, a vital question arises. What is my role in this situation? This question, grounded in Stoic philosophy, invites clarity amidst chaos. Seneca wrote, "Let us also produce some bold act of our own, and join the ranks of the most noble." Recognizing your role is about understanding not just your responsibilities, but also your capacity to influence outcomes positively. By identifying your role, you step into purposeful action instead of reacting impulsively. Consider an unexpected story. Rachel, a team leader at a marketing agency, faced a dilemma when her team missed a critical deadline. The client was furious, and her instinct was to shift blame onto the team to protect herself. But she paused and asked, "What is my role here?" As the leader, she realized her role was to take accountability, find solutions, and rebuild trust. She apologized to the client, addressed the team with compassion, and implemented processes to prevent future delays. Rachel's decision to embrace her role not only salvaged the client relationship, but strengthened her team's loyalty and morale. Now think about your own life. In moments of conflict or challenge, do you instinctively react, or do you pause to identify your role? Are you a parent navigating a child's frustration, a colleague resolving workplace tension, or a friend offering support? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have been assigned your post in life. Remain at your post and do not desert it." This is a call to act with integrity, fulfilling the role uniquely yours to play. Here's a simple exercise to practice this principle. The next time you face a tense or uncertain situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself 3 questions. What is happening? What can I influence? What is my role here? Write down your answers if needed. Then, act in alignment with your role, whether it's a mediator, a supporter, or simply an observer. Reflect for a moment. What would happen if you fully embraced your role in every situation? Imagine the clarity, purpose, and confidence you'd gain. Whether your role is large or small, it matters, because every interaction is an opportunity to contribute to something greater than yourself. The next time you're unsure, stop and ask, "What is my role in this situation?" Then step into it fully. Because understanding your role isn't just about responsibility, it's about showing up for life in a way that only you can. 8. What is the worst that can happen, and how will I prepare for it? Imagine this. You're offered a chance to lead a high-stakes project at work. It's a significant step forward in your career, but doubt looms large. What if I fail? What if the team doesn't respect me? The fear is paralyzing, until you pause and ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen, and how will I prepare for it? Suddenly, fear transforms from an obstacle into a challenge you can face head-on. This question reflects a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, the practice of premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. By envisioning potential setbacks, the Stoics didn't dwell in pessimism. They armed themselves with preparation. As Seneca observed, "He who is unprepared for misfortune is miserable by reason of his fear. He who has prepared has already deflected the blow." Consider Mia, a young surgeon tasked with performing her first solo operation. The weight of responsibility terrified her. But instead of succumbing to fear, she adopted the Stoic approach. She asked herself, what's the worst that can happen? The answer, a surgical complication. Then she prepared. She reviewed her protocols, rehearsed scenarios, and sought advice from her mentor. On the day of the operation, she wasn't just confident, she was ready. Her preparation allowed her to handle the unexpected with composure and skill. Now, let's turn to your life. Think of a fear or challenge that's been holding you back. How much of your worry stems from the unknown? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, do not let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Stick with the situation at hand. By breaking fear into its components and addressing each one, you can deflate its power. Here's how to use this principle in practice. Identify a fear or potential challenge you're facing. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Write it down in detail. Next, brainstorm ways to prepare for or mitigate this scenario. For example, if you fear a presentation going poorly, rehearse in front of trusted friends and anticipate questions. Finally, visualize yourself succeeding despite the challenge. Preparation is a shield against fear. It doesn't eliminate uncertainty, but it equips you to handle it with confidence. Imagine walking into a situation not paralyzed by what-ifs, but empowered by, I've got this. So reflect. What's the worst that can happen in your current challenge, and how will you prepare for it? Write down your plan, take the first step, and remind yourself, fear loses its grip when met with readiness. Don't let imagined failures stop you from real opportunities, because preparation turns fear into strength and strength into action. 9. Am I being driven by desire or aversion? Imagine standing at a crossroads. One path is paved with the allure of recognition, wealth, or comfort. The other seems daunting, strewn with uncertainty or potential discomfort. Which path do you take? More importantly, why do you choose it? Are you being pulled by desire or pushed away by fear? This question, am I being driven by desire or aversion, helps untangle your motivations, ensuring your actions align with reason, not impulse. Epictetus wrote, "Freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it." In Stoic philosophy, both unbridled desires and irrational fears are seen as chains, binding us to outcomes outside our control. A wise person recognizes these forces, questions them, and chooses a path aligned with their values and reason. Take the story of Ethan, a young lawyer offered a lucrative job at a prestigious firm. The salary dazzled him, but deep down he knew the role didn't align with his passion for human rights law. On the other hand, fear whispered that declining the offer might lead to financial instability and disappointment from others. Caught between desire and aversion, Ethan paused to reflect. He asked himself, "Am I driven by the desire for money and approval, or the fear of judgment?" Realizing his true calling was greater than these external pulls, he chose a less glamorous position at a non-profit. Years later, he found fulfillment advocating for those who had no voice, a success far greater than he had imagined. Now, reflect on your own decisions. Are they guided by fleeting pleasures or fears of discomfort? Marcus Aurelius urged, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This wisdom invites us to question our instincts and choose courage over complacency. Here's a practical exercise to uncover your motivations. Think about a decision you're facing or a recent choice you've made. Ask yourself, what's driving this? Write down any desires or fears influencing your decision. Evaluate these motivations. Are they aligned with your values, or are they based on external validation or irrational fears? Adjust your course to reflect reason, integrity, and long-term fulfillment. Imagine living free from the chains of impulsive desire or paralyzing fear. How much lighter would you feel? What opportunities could you embrace with clarity and confidence? As you navigate your next decision, pause and ask, am I being driven by desire or aversion? By anchoring your choices in reflection and reason, you'll not only act with intention, but also build a life guided by your deepest values. Take this question with you. It's not just a momentary reflection, but a compass for a life well lived. 10. How can I use this challenge as an opportunity for growth? Imagine this. You've been overlooked for a promotion you thought was a sure thing. Frustration and self-doubt bubble up, threatening to consume your confidence. But instead of sinking into despair, you pause and ask yourself, how can I use this challenge as an opportunity for growth? Suddenly, the rejection transforms from a roadblock into a stepping stone. The Stoics embraced this mindset through the concept of amor fati, or the love of fate, embracing every experience, good or bad, as a necessary part of life's journey. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Challenges, they believed, are not obstacles, but opportunities to cultivate resilience, wisdom, and strength. Consider Sarah's story. She was an aspiring chef who dreamed of owning a restaurant. After years of saving, she opened her first bistro, only for it to fail within 6 months. Devastated but determined, Sarah reflected on what went wrong. She realized her focus on trendy dishes had alienated her core audience. Using this failure as a lesson, she reinvented her approach, creating a simpler menu rooted in her community's tastes. Her second venture flourished, and she credits her initial failure as the turning point that taught her adaptability and humility. Now, turn to your own life. What challenges are you facing? Perhaps it's a strained relationship, a career setback, or a personal struggle. Have you been viewing these obstacles as barriers or as opportunities to grow? Epictetus reminds us, difficulties show what men are. Therefore, when a difficulty falls upon you, remember that God, like a trainer of wrestlers, has matched you with a rough young man. Challenges, in this view, are tests that reveal your character and potential. Here's an exercise to reframe your perspective. Identify a challenge you're currently facing. Write down what you believe this challenge is teaching you about yourself, your skills, or your values. Brainstorm 3 actions you can take to grow from this situation. For instance, if you're struggling with rejection, focus on improving your skills, seeking feedback, or exploring alternative paths. Imagine the transformation you'd experience by viewing every setback as a lesson. How much stronger and more capable would you become? Challenges are inevitable, but your response to them shapes your future. The next time you encounter an obstacle, pause and ask, how can I use this challenge as an opportunity for growth? Embrace the discomfort, lean into the lesson, and take one actionable step forward. Remember, growth isn't just about overcoming challenges, it's about letting them refine you into the person you're meant to become. 11. What can I be grateful for right now? Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic on a rainy evening. Your mind is racing with frustrations, missed deadlines, mounting responsibilities, and the inconvenience of the moment. But then you pause and ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? Perhaps it's the sound of the rain, the warmth of your car, or the opportunity to slow down and reflect. Suddenly, the storm inside you begins to calm. The Stoics believed that gratitude was a powerful tool for shifting perspective. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." Gratitude reminds us to focus on what we have rather than what we lack, anchoring us in the present moment and fostering resilience amidst challenges. Consider the story of James, a small business owner who nearly lost everything during an economic downturn. Overwhelmed by financial stress, he found himself spiraling into despair. One day, a friend challenged him to keep a gratitude journal, listing 3 things he was thankful for every day. Reluctantly, he began. At first, his entries were small. I'm grateful for coffee. I'm grateful for my dog. But over time, his focus shifted. He started noticing opportunities he'd overlooked. Loyal customers, a supportive spouse, his determination to rebuild. Gratitude didn't fix his problems overnight, but it gave him the clarity and hope to face them. Now, reflect on your own life. What small moments, people or comforts do you take for granted? Perhaps it's a friend who checks in on you, the quiet of early mornings, or the knowledge you've gained from past challenges. Marcus Aurelius urged, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." Gratitude isn't about ignoring difficulties. It's about balancing them with an appreciation for life's gifts. Here's an exercise to cultivate gratitude. Take 5 minutes each day to write down 3 things you're grateful for, no matter how small. Reflect on why these things matter and how they enrich your life. Challenge yourself to express your gratitude. Send a thank you message to a friend, compliment a colleague, or simply smile at a stranger. Imagine the transformation you'd experience by practicing gratitude daily. How much lighter would your burdens feel? How much deeper would your connections become? Gratitude isn't just a fleeting emotion. It's a lens through which you can view life's richness. So, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? Pause, reflect, and embrace the power of gratitude to bring clarity, calm, and connection into your life. Because gratitude, when practiced consistently, doesn't just change moments, it changes you. 12. What is my guiding principle? Imagine facing a tough choice. Accept a high-paying job that conflicts with your ethics, or stick with a modest role that aligns with your values. Decisions like this can feel overwhelming, but what if you had an unwavering compass, a guiding principle that could steer you through the confusion? This is where asking yourself, what is my guiding principle, becomes transformative. In Stoic philosophy, a guiding principle is the foundation of a purposeful life. Epictetus once said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Your principle isn't just about following rules, it's about defining who you aspire to be and ensuring your actions align with that vision, no matter the circumstances. Take Clara's story, for instance. She worked as a project manager in a rapidly growing tech startup where leadership constantly pushed for unattainable deadlines, causing burnout among employees. Caught between meeting the company's demands and safeguarding her team's well-being, Clara paused to reflect. She realized that her guiding principle was to lead with empathy and integrity. The very next day, she proposed a new workflow strategy that balanced productivity with her team's health. Her solution not only inspired her team, but also led to the company adopting her approach as a sustainable model for success. Think about the times in your own life when you've faced dilemmas. Did you act based on a clear set of values, or were your decisions driven by external pressures? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This isn't just a call to action, it's a reminder that clarity of purpose makes choices simpler and more meaningful. Defining your guiding principle doesn't have to be complicated. Start by reflecting on what truly matters to you. Maybe it's honesty, kindness, perseverance, or creativity. From there, try putting these values into a short, actionable statement. For example, instead of saying, "I value courage," you might say, "I will face challenges with courage and kindness." As you navigate your day-to-day life, let this principle act as your compass. When decisions arise, ask yourself, does this align with who I want to be? Over time, you'll notice how much easier it becomes to stay true to yourself, even in difficult situations. So, what's your guiding principle? Take a moment to reflect and write it down. Commit to it, not just for the big decisions, but for the small, everyday choices that shape your character. When you live guided by a principle, you're no longer reacting to life. You're intentionally creating the life you want to lead. 13. Am I living according to my values? And if not, what changes do I need to make? As we arrive at the final question, let's take a moment to connect all the insights we've gained. These Stoic reflections have been building toward this ultimate challenge. Am I living according to my values? And if not, what changes do I need to make? This question goes beyond self-awareness. It calls for action and accountability. Living according to your values means closing the gap between what you believe and what you do. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This wisdom reminds us that it's not material possessions or external achievements that define us, but how closely our actions align with what we hold dear. When you act against your values, you feel a subtle but undeniable disconnect, a signpost urging you to recalibrate. Think of Clara, a high school teacher who prided herself on fairness, but realized she was unknowingly favoring certain students who performed well. When a quiet student bravely pointed it out, Clara felt embarrassed but grateful. She took a hard look at her actions and made changes, setting up one-on-one meetings with every student to ensure they felt seen and valued. By living her value of fairness more fully, Clara strengthened her connection to her work and her students. Now let's turn to you. Ask yourself, am I living according to my values, or am I prioritizing convenience, fear, or external expectations? Marcus Aurelius advises, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your actions paint the portrait of who you are becoming. If you value kindness, are you showing it in your daily interactions? If you value growth, are you challenging yourself to step outside your comfort zone? To begin this self-check, start by identifying your top 3 values. Write them down. Then, reflect on your recent choices. Have they aligned with these principles? If not, what adjustments can you make today? For example, if you value family but have been distracted by work, Plan an evening free of interruptions to connect with loved ones. Here's a practical exercise. Every Sunday, take 5 minutes to review your week. Ask yourself, did my actions align with my values? What moments felt most authentic, and where did I fall short? Write down one specific change you can make for the week ahead. Imagine the impact of consistently aligning your actions with your values. Your decisions would carry clarity, your relationships would deepen, and your sense of purpose would grow. So take this question into your daily life. Am I living according to my values? And if not, what changes do I need to make? Because the beauty of this reflection lies in its simplicity. It invites you to step closer to the person you aspire to be, one intentional action at a time. As we conclude this journey through the 13 Stoic questions, let's pause and reflect on the immense power these questions hold. Each one challenges you to look inward, to confront your motivations, your fears, and your values, and to move closer to a life of purpose and resilience. Stoicism is not just a philosophy, it's a guide to living with clarity, courage, and authenticity. Now we want to hear from you. Which question struck a chord with you? Have you started to reflect on your answers? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights could inspire someone else to embrace these transformative questions. If this video brought value to your life, we'd appreciate it if you could like, share it with someone who needs this wisdom, and subscribe to our channel for more content designed to inspire growth and self-discovery. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next episode. We'll leave you with one final question to carry forward. What will you discover about yourself when you start answering these questions truthfully? Thank you for watching, reflecting, and growing with us. Stay strong, stay true, and we'll see you next time.